but it's important that we take the input of every participant. As you would have seen, we are still struggling to complete some of the groups. But since we don't have time, what we have decided is that the discussion yesterday has been captured in terms of the issues that came up and in terms of the recommendations that were discussed at the floor yesterday. We also know that there are a lot of recommendations that came up in the discussion of the groups. Therefore, what we have done is to put together what we have done yesterday and then to inform the chairman to tease out those key recommendations from the groups. And therefore, what we intend to do is to call the chairman of the communique group to read out the communique based on what we did yesterday, and then to invite the chairman of the panel to also give us their addition, so that with that we'd have taken all the recommendations, and then we'll leave it to the secretariat so that they can fine tune and ensure that it comes in the best of form, so that our DG will address the press and then it goes out on our behalf. This is the format that we are going to use, and so if it is agreed, I will just appeal for more patience. I will appeal for any observation, any comment, any addition, any subtraction. Just raise up your hand, you will duly acknowledge, so that we can take that. So on this note, I have to have the pleasure of calling the president of SP, who is the chairman of our community committee, to read out what he has done at his level, and then subsequently the chairperson will be called. Thank you very much.
Say that he supported us very tremendously in putting this together too. So thank you very much for doing it. This conference is organized by African Peace Institute for Social Research, Apodi Institute for Peace Studies and Social Rehabilitation, held at the Federal Capital Development Authority Conference Hall, Area 11, Abuja, between Wednesday 15th to Friday 17th May 2024. Preamble. The conference was chaired by Professor Suleiman Bala Muhammad, immediate past Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University. The chief host of the conference was Major Dr. Hamza Al-Mustafa, President and CEO of Apudi Institute for Peace Studies for Peace and Social Rehabilitation. The keynote speaker, Dr. Ahmed Adamu Shiroma, spoke on the theme of the conference, promoting empirical research for peace practice and settlement. Discussants at the conference included Alice Warimu Nderiku, UN Undersecretary and Special Advisor on Prevention of Genocide, USA. Rear Admiral Olumuyiwa Olotu, Commandant of National Defense College. Dr. Joseph Ochogu, the Director General, Institute for Peace. Daniel Msena Pila, President, Society for Peace Studies and Practice. And Commandant, National Institute for Security Service, NISS, Security Service. Other dignitaries were the Vice Chancellor Nasarawa State University, Kefi, the representative of ECOWAS, NCE, the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Ministry of Defense. And the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Agricultural Research Institute, A total of 82 abstracts were received and presented at the conference. Observations. The conference extensively deliberated on the theme of the conference, and the papers and made the following observations. 1. The existence of extensive forest and ungoverned spaces, particularly at the border areas which provide hideout for bandits and criminals. 2. The Nigerian border is not well managed by the Nigerian Immigration Service, who is the lead agency in border management. 3. The availability of so many relevant empirical research on border management and security, while this has not been put into use by policymakers and relevant agencies. 4. Challenges with border management, especially lack of conflict sensitivity audit in legislative processes, leading to conflicting roles and legislation that aggravate conflict. 6. The complete absence of migrant safe house in Nigeria, leading to the influx of high levels of criminals into the country. 7. Inadequate funding for research in the areas of peace research. 8. Weak collaboration among African countries fighting genocide and terrorism, since both are cross-border crimes. 9. Inadequate synergy and collaboration among peace institutions. Slow uptake of research outputs by policymakers. 11. Lack of coherent peace research base that will harmonize other research areas. 12. Inadequate involvement of women, people with disability, and other vulnerable groups in peace-building process. Recommendation. The conference recommends as follows. 1. Effective management of forests and ungoverned spaces through 1. Strengthening of forest guards. 2. Establishment of early warning mechanisms in forest management and security. 4. Increased collaboration by both actors and non-actors in forest management. 2. Those were solved. Now 2. The Nigeria Immigration Service should be well trained. 3. There is need for synergy between the Nigerian Immigration Service, Customs, Boundary Commission, and other relevant ministries. 4. Enhance deployment of modern technology in border security and crime. There is need for the Nigeria Immigration Service and other relevant agencies to harvest the abundant empirical research on border management and security. 6. The conference resolved that APUDI, SPSP, and African Peace Institute and the UN Office on Genocide Prevention should collaborate with the National Assembly to incorporate conflict sensitivity audit in the legislative process. 7. APIS in collaboration with relevant agencies to discuss with the Nigeria Immigration Service for the takeoff of the Migrant Safe House project in Nigeria. This research should be adequately funded by both public and private sectors as well as philanthropists. 9. There is need to strengthen collaboration among African countries to prevent genocide and terrorism in the continent because of its cross-border nature. 10. There should be clear synergy and collaboration among peace institutes, organizations, and NGOs. 11. Policymakers should utilize available peace research outputs in policymaking. 12. And finally, women physically challenged and other vulnerable in peace building and research. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, participants. You have listened to this community as at yesterday. And if there are comments or corrections that you feel about it, you can kindly raise that. And if you don't have any, we will approve and then request the chairpersons to give us their contributions. Those contributions, together with this one, the secretariat will go and ensure that it is harmonized and it is presented tomorrow to the press. Approve?
Please, when you said that, I think it's number 4 or 5 within that range.
Yes.
You said that the Nigerian Immigration Services should be trained in border management. The question is, were they not trained before? Or are they going to kind of do a fresh training, maybe orientation or maybe a specific kind of training?
Yes, ma. I think that if you don't agree, we are not going to open it. But you submit that this is the best way you think it should be put, or that we should delete it. Because we're not going to ask the chairman now to start explaining where he did work. But if you think the wording, the way it's phrased is not so correct, you can just give us what you think is correct. And this will train
training of immigration officers, but that the borders are not sufficiently managed or well managed by the immigration. And I think this is arising from the fact that if you call any immigration officer, you confirm that Nigeria today we have over 1,400 borders, and barely about maybe 15 or 20 are well managed border posts. It's not that the immigration officers lack the capacity to manage it, but certain challenges for the governance process and so on. So the recommendation would be that they should be further empowered to get these borders managed. Because if you have over 1,400 borders and barely 20 or 30 are managed, you know that it's a very serious.
Okay, so I think we'll adopt what he said. Yes. That they should be further empowered instead of this issue of training. Yes.
Paper presentation. There was something I mentioned about inadequate policy implementation. Sometimes it could be as a result of lack of domestication of some of our policies. So for me, in addition to what he said, aside empowering the personnel, we can as well try to make the policies that are tilted towards dealing with that more domesticated. I think that will go a long way, because some of our policies, in Nigeria, we know how to formulate policies. But the problem is the implementation of the policies. So if those policies are put at work, I think it also mitigates that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think and when we take your group, we'll incorporate. But these are just issues that we said emanated largely from the conversation yesterday. We are also aware that you have discussed issues on policy and so many other areas, and that they will come up now. Approve? Yes. No. Somebody wants to talk. Yes. Yeah.
I know funding is not easy though, but I just want to, my own opinion, please, to advise if it's possible to have this program for 1 week. Like they do call safety week this week, that we should have that relief program in order to enable us to cover things properly. Yesterday, beautiful. Today is also okay. I use okay because of our presentation, I rather discovered that we are rushing things, and we are here to learn. So some of us must have before, but here we came again to learn and relearn. So the comments that is going to come from colleagues around and professors around when we are done with presentations is equally very vital to our final thesis write-up. Because if we don't get those things down, drop them and make an addition to what we are going to like right at the end of the day, it's now look as if our gathering is just to get not comprehensively what we ought to get. So I'm just like advising, though I know people such, but if it can be extended to that, even after the symposium, let the presentation don't be a 1 day rush. We can like it's grouped quite alright to different groups, but still within the same group, it can be extended to like 2 days or thereabouts, so that we can really grab all that we need to grab from every angle and make up what we need to make of ourselves at the end of the whole thing. That's just my
Yeah, I think matter. Earlier on, there were people who also suggested that the period of the conference is so tight. So, but this is the maiden edition. I believe that by the time we are coming to the second international conference, we are going to factor that. Then, secondly, in terms of your concern about the knowledge, I think we will find a way to ensure that that knowledge is not available to everybody. Because don't also forget that we're working to produce conference procedures, which will carry every paper, and there's also going to be some journal publication where it's going to be more rigorous, more academic inclined. So there is no cause for alarm, but the issue of making more time for the conference is well taken. And I should invite chairman of the public policy panel who give us insights about the observations and recommendations, which will also be presented for our comments once we accept. We then sign it off along with the others. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and of course, members of the High Team, and of course, the participants. Let me say that we don't have a report ready right now in our group. Where the report is still being processed. That one got from the presentations that have been made. The number of the presentations were local government, community, efforts in terms of security and all those issues of involving, the communities in the issue of peace building and peace development within the local government, circles. Particularly, a number of the papers mentioned the role of traditional institutions which have been neglected, for a very long time, since 1976. I think the traditional rulers were assigned roles that completely remove them from playing or carrying out anything that will place of abode, and they're now not even being given any form of shelter or accommodation. They normally face threats either from criminals that will come attack them, or they themselves will now begin to pursue themselves into a nuisance in the community. So I think some of those type of ideas came out in some of the presentation on climate change. And I know a number of colleagues were talking about the fact that we should ensure that the issues about tree planting, the culture of planting trees is something that is promoted right from childhood, because a number of the participants narrated their experiences in that regard. Then, of course, we had some presentations on education and the this same school initiative and peace education, as very important tools that will be used in, building right from childhood the culture of peace. Because, like we were informed by one of our colleagues today, in some of these countries where you find that they live peacefully, with their people, right from childhood. They are not exposed to unnecessary, things that will make them become, violent. But if you take our own kids right from nursery schools, we start exposing our children to violence from nursery school. Because somebody at nursery, 3 months, 6 months, they put them in nursery. Already are teaching that's going to affect him, in the future. While you compare that with maybe children in Japanese schools, they go to school from age 1 to 8. All they do is just physical exercise and a little bit of, teaching on, discipline, things that will promote some kind of friendliness between themselves and their environment. And so you find that they grow up with that, and so they live peacefully in their society. And a number of presentations on technology, the use of technology to ensure that we able to gather information, intelligence gathering, so that all these issues about conflicts can easily be mitigated, maybe at the source of the problem manifests itself to the extent that it will affect the whole community, the state, and even the country, at large. There are a number of the presentations also try to address the issue of the economy. So quite a number of presentations on banks, the role of the CBN, for instance, on poverty alleviation and all that. And some try to link the issue of insecurity to some of these problems that are confronting, particularly the youths. And they propose solutions in terms of creating an enabling environment, for the youth to be able to thrive in terms of finding a niche for themselves within the economy through the support, for instance, of the banks, maybe giving them low interest. In fact, most times, some of our partners that they should give them grants. So generally, they are saying that in fact, grants will be given to small and medium scale enterprises so that there will be job creation. Because a lot of individuals believe that this insecurity problem we are currently witnessing is not all related with the unemployment situation of in our country. So I think generally, I think that's my own impression of most of the presentations, and that's the best I can do in terms of summarizing it. But we'll try to get very straightforward, concrete recommendations, from the presentations that we made. And all this you are seeing are the papers that were presented, in this panel. Thank you, Mr. Jao.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we want to thank the chairman. We know the number and the time. Like we said earlier on, correcting the things, but it is excellent that you have gone through the papers and that he has summed up some of the issues that came up. We will expect him, like he said, to give us observations and to give us recommendations. Those that are really very key. And with what we have done at the general table, we just concentrate on the key aspects. But it is also important to tell the participants that these papers that you have presented, we're sure that you heard comments from your colleagues. You also heard comments from the chairman of the panel. The expectation we have is that you will go and quickly improve on that, because two levels of publication they entered. But of course, the journal, which will have to go through peer review, will have to be one that is standard, will have to be one that carries into account the observations he made, so that after that we're going to give to do blind peer review. So it is important that we go and sort that. And once again, I want to thank the chairman and to say that we're looking forward to receiving your comments and your recommendations. The next person is my very senior colleague, former Vice Chancellor, Plateau State University in Focus, who has availed us with his expertise and his presence here. So I want to invite you to make your presentation.
Thank you very much. I associate with my other colleagues and that more detailed reports will be made available, but at least to give us an even view of what we did. For my subcommittee, we did look at the aspect of peace education. conflict resolution. Generally, the presentation centered on the role of women, which was very impressive. That quite a number of things were brought into sharp focus with respect to their role in terms of conflict resolution, in terms of peace building, and so on. And it was recognized that it's important to adopt intersectional approaches which recognizes the diverse identity of women and their role in peace building and development initiatives. There's a number of things that they have played, the role that they have in peace were highlighted, particularly recognizing the fact that in conflict situation or crisis situation, they are always the first casualty, battling with running for lives, taking care of the children, and so on. There was also the emphasis on the interconnectedness of the gender with other factors such as ethnicity, class, religion, which, as we know, varies with different cultures and environments. And that to an extent affects the issue of their roles in peace building. Without prejudice to the fact that they still play significant role, but these issues need to be taken into consideration and their role and continue to consolidate on their support. There is a need too for inclusive policies and programs that address special needs and vulnerability of women. The imperative, the role of traditional rulers was brought into sharp focus in the course of the presentation. And the importance of peace education at different levels, just like with um, the last speaker said. It is very important at critical formative stages of the family, particularly the children, that they are exposed to peace education. Because exposing them to peace education when they are at a certain age, the danger is that certain biases or mindsets are. If the aspect of peace education can start at critical formative stages when the children, when their brains are magnetic and able to catch things in good time, to go a long way in helping them. We did look at case studies too, quite a number of case studies cutting across different countries and different regions and local governments. And that to an extent, conclusions were drawn with respect to experiences of other countries and other regions and local government. And the conclusions drawn from there will also go a long way in helping in consolidating on peace. But most significantly too, given the topic of this seminar or conference, the aspect of research was identified and emphasized. Research from the other side of the definition to go philosophical. It is something that everybody sees. Research is something that everybody sees. But it is also something that everybody thinks about, but you are expected to do the thinking. I find enough. So it should be a continuous process. Research should be a continuous process. And in the course of this research, where the key word is empirical, we have to draw from experience and post-experience in order to seek the good that will be of common good to everybody. So I think these are some of the things that we again, in the presentations, we recognize the fact that these things will be produced. Okay. We also recognize that from the presentations, there is need to do a lot of editorial work in order to fine-tune the papers for publication. A lot of editorial work. Although this will be guided by the different guidelines to be given both for the proceedings and for the journals. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we're also expecting a report containing observations and recommendations. And also to tell members of the group that you will have to go back and start working on your papers. Because like you said, we are going to put it through some correction, we can put them through. But for the journal, they have to go through blind review. It's not my honor and pleasure to call on my very dear friend, the Director, Institute of Governance and Development, National State University, who is also an expert in this peace and security matters, Professor Zaman.
Thank you, sir. This is my boss. And at any time that I have the opportunity, I tell people how privileged National State University has been to have a university by such a personality as him. I was his foot soldier, and I want to say that I remain your foot soldier. Wherever it is, wherever he is, I want him to continuously hear good news about what we are doing. And so at the post that you left me, I will make sure that I make a landmark until it is time to leave and to move on to other things. So I thank you for your compliments. At this group, we made 4 major observations. The first was that peace has eluded Nigeria despite efforts at promoting national cohesion and unity because of the political manipulation of the instruments of governance and power. Number 2, that harsh economic situations and unmitigated conflicts account for Nigeria's continued vulnerability to violent extremism, insurgency, and burgeoning crime rates. Number 3, youth unemployment and the escalation of the numbers of the out-of-school children, radicalization and recruitment into organized crime and terrorism. And finally, the Nigerian security architecture in the current state that exists does not support efficient security management. So the following recommendations are hereby made. 1, leadership and good governance are critical for the enrollment of national structures for sustainable peace and security. 2, that government policies that promote economic well-being, social justice, and equity are critical to mitigating social conflicts and the diverse security challenges that impede national development. 3, the Nigeria security architecture needs to be overhauled to strengthen synergy between security agencies for more effective security management. 4, governments at all levels need to address unemployment and out-of-school children to reduce crime rates and also improve national security. 5, the federal government needs to be sensitive to global trends and their implications on national security in order to emplace policies and strategies that promote sustainable peace, national unity, and cohesion. And finally, that policing practices in Nigeria should be intelligence-led so that they can impact criminal justice administration and national security positively. Thank you.
I think this group has had the time for the observations and recommendations will be expressed.
Yes.
So we just expect you to Please hand it over to the secretary. Oh, you have done that before. Can we give you another round of applause?
You know, he's very following in your steps.
No, listen now. This what you told me, I'm not even sure what you told me. Yes. So once again, I'd like to thank Professor Zamani. Professor Zamani actually is the is the one fully collaborating, is the arm of the university collaborating with artists. And that as a DJ will tell you, is one person that you can always rely on. And he has taken that institute to a very high level. In fact, it's an institute that have students that national and on international study tour. And it's a program that is very, I'm very sure that we'll continue to work together. Yes, now I'm going to call my very senior colleague in the Department of Sociology, University of Abuja, Professor Ikube, to give us insights into the group work. Because I'm sure she has not been able to do the observations, but she can give us insights. Thank you. Wanted to see. Wanted to see. Now, because we are short. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So our own, these are the reports we're presenting on Professor Grube, and the report we're presenting work statistics, NGOs, and the development. So what we did is we got a rapporteur. So we already have some information. That if some information is not here, my colleague can easily, the other partner can easily get the information for whoever needs the information. As far as the paper reviews was concerned, we did a good job. That's why we're a bit late. So as we are writing down and so on, we also were quickly scrutinizing the papers. So every presenter now has some idea of the major corrections that they need to make, at least before you move to conference proceedings. And then later on, those ones can be done. And I've left them with my partner, Dr. Israel, who forgets, who cannot remember, can go back to him and see what their major corrections were supposed to be. So I chaired, we had Dr. Israel, and we got somebody to act as a rapporteur. So there were number of papers that were presented were 17. 17 papers were presented in our group, and we fished out areas of focus from those areas. At the end of the day, we tried to group them to see what were the major sub-themes. So number one, we had mental health, which consisted mainly of papers on suicide. We had peace and research. We had papers on women and peace building. We had papers on the role of education. We had papers on the role, and then we had papers on the role of civil society and community relations. We had the papers on the focused on community-based initiatives, school security, and the role of the social worker. So those were the major classification of the different papers that were presented. And then also fished out what were some of the major things that they discussed there. A lot of the people brought out the areas like what were the causes of insecurity. You cannot solve a problem that you don't know about. So a lot of papers mentioned the fundamentals of the causes of poverty, causes of insecurity being poverty, unemployment, lack of proper risk assessment, increased access to education, drug and substance abuse, and then we have new emerging drugs that especially these young people now are using to commit suicide. There are some of those new drugs there. Lack of self-actualization, high cost of living. Everybody in the world is talking about high cost of living and how you can mitigate those. Then the lack of infrastructure in schools is lack of infrastructure things, because the papers found out that some schools are not faced. So it is easy for anybody to come in out of the school. Then after that, we made policy initiatives. That's our recommendations. And our policy initiatives were, for example, in schools and institutions to establish well-tailored evidence-based policies. That's the main, I think, thesis of the main thesis of the conference, that we want to have evidence-based policies in these areas because they're more sustainable and they are likely to be more responsive to the problems at hand. We also need to increase community-based engagement. So specifically, we have recommendations for mental health. What are the recommendations for mental health? We need to increase supportive network, promote community empowerment, so reduce social and economic stress. You know, there's a lot of economic stress now. So we need programs that address that. And we found out to domesticate some programs, especially from our presentations, that the United Nations does have a program that helps in trying to limit insecurity. And we discovered a lot of students were not aware, and a lot of people may not be aware. So there is already some of those things that we can try to domesticate. And then we said we need outreach programs. They said mountain cannot come to you. You go to the mountain. So I don't see the problem is there. You have to go and to reach out to the mountain. The need for collaboration, need for research and awareness. So there is a lot of need in every area for research by the social scientists and specifically by the social worker. And so what we see that there is need for awareness when conducted from our presentations that the United Nations does have a program that helps in trying to limit insecurity. And we discovered a lot of students were not aware, a lot of people may not be aware. So there is already some of those things that we can try to domesticate. And then we said we need outreach programs. They said mountain cannot come to you. You go to the mountain. So I don't see the problem is there. You have to go and to reach out to the mountain. The need for collaboration, needs for research and awareness. So there is a lot of need in every area for research by the social scientists and specifically by the social worker. And so what we see that there is need for awareness when conducted, that should be part of their work. Now we went to peace building and management. There are some papers that focused on peace building and management. And then we said we need peace education. Just like when you're talking about gender, you need to start educating people from primary school. So we need peace education right from primary school. Because the problem now is so deep that even somebody, I think, in nursery section knows about insecurity. That you can sit on a motorcycle taxi and you disappear. Or somebody could come and invade your school. We need expanded programs on poverty eradication. And we need to encourage community engagement and partnerships. Community-based risk assessment. And it is a recurrent event. If there are problems in the community, you need to go to the community. And the community knows the problems they're having in the area. If you talk about insecurity, most of the time, the people in the community know who is causing the problem in that community. So the risk assessment needs to be done with the support of the community. We need to support women networks in peace building. We need to expand women's participation in decision making and governance. We didn't have time to go into that, but because we know that there are even indigenous ways that women have to resolve conflicts and build peace. More importantly, we need to take peace initiatives. I think we talk about this peace initiatives. Do this, but there's no funding for it. So we have to be serious and ensure that we provide the necessary funding. So there's a lot of keeps recurring, a lot of research. We need to improve public relations between the military, paramilitary organizations, and the community. Because if you don't have that trust, for example, the people are not going to give information about the troublemakers in the community. they don't trust. And some people have found out that at times when there is this lack of mistrust, crimes can be committed. Law enforcement is looking on and nothing happens. That's another alternative. So the people in the community know who the troublemakers are, but they won't give you the information. So we need to build that trust between the different stakeholders. And in terms of women and peace building, we also said that we need a change of attitude through the mothers, through the process of socialization. The baby spends 9 months or whatever in the mother's womb. The mother breastfeeds, and then most of the time they are with their mother. And this is New Nigerian. So we need to know what are our values, and then pass these values on to the mothers, and the mothers will pass them on to the children. No. So you need women empowerment. That's why somebody said yesterday, without women empowerment, you won't have peace. Huh? So it's not just a cliche, it's very true. So we need awareness in recognizing the role of women. And then we also said we call for more social work research and intervention. A lot of things are happening there. It is he said, she said. But we said we need evidence, empirical evidence of what is going on. And then we also need to invest in leadership at all levels. Leadership is not just having people at the top, but even people in the community, the leadership positions. So we have to invest in this leadership. Another something we had was the role of education. And we said, so what do you do there in terms of policy initiatives? We said governments should increase the security in the schools through fencing and putting CCTV cameras. Increase the risk assessment in the schools and act on it. You know, these people are around Buhari, they are going to attack those areas. They are likely to attack. It's not just knowing they are likely to attack, but take steps to ensure they don't attack. Take steps to ensure that the schools there are safe. And I think it can be done. And recommendations of technology. So we also talk about increasing awareness programs again here in the schools. You can also create awareness on security. We can increase collaboration with the school management, the community, parents, the military, and paramilitary. So these people can have meetings together. It's not enough for the army to go around singing the AK-47. It's not enough. So you need to have the parents, the teachers, the management, and law enforcement, and all these people have to create a security committee in that area. So you need to provide the training. Somebody was saying, these people not been trained before. Training is ongoing. And then also I've already mentioned to incorporate peace education and establish community forums. Then we go to the role of technology. We have some violence in the schools which emanates from technology, the internet. So there is need to create awareness among the pupils, among the teacher and management, that this can be happening in the schools. At times you have the older children bullying children, even in the primary school. They have their email or something, they send a message. You get it? They send some kind of communication that is not admissible. So we can create digital awareness programs in the schools and then create awareness on that is there. Another recommendation we have on the role of civil society and community relations. So I think even yesterday, all the time, we keep talking about collaboration. We need to collaborate. We need to work with other people. It's not a one-man show or a one-woman show. And then also we need to improve monitoring activities. We're talking about the role of civil society, improving monitoring of the activities of the NGOs. It was agreed and pointed out. It's not an NGO that may be doing good here. So there is need to be sort of more intentional about the activities of NGO and what they are doing. the role of a social worker, my group was in the social workers, social work that can do. We are saying we should include social workers in the design and implementation of these strategies. Because of their very training, social workers are better positioned to help and provide strategies and implementation of programs that can bring about security. We need to raise, again, with the social worker, rely on these crisis intervention models. The social worker will be able to help there. We need to increase funding for social workers in this country. A lot of people look down on social workers. It's only in the developing countries that we look down on social workers. If you go to the UK, you go to the US, if you are a social worker, you have a master's, you are a PhD, you don't need to go to the back door. You can jump out a lot of money. So we need actual implementation of the social work policies and other policies. As people have continually said, Nigerians are very educated, highly educated. There are a lot of policy initiatives lying down somewhere. Now we need to move on to implementation, and social workers can help us in these areas. And then also, we need to, it will help if we attach social workers to different agencies. Most of the developing nations and other African countries, they have social work in schools, social work in hospitals, social work in different places, even social work in sports. We have sports, social work in sports or whatever. So just ensure that you bring these social workers in schools. You can sort of cut in the need some of these problems that are there. I don't know that this may not be part of the rapporteur, but somebody had sent me something the other day on the internet about the broken glass theory. I'm sure a lot of people go to this thing on the broken glass theory. The main basis there is that you have to tackle the problem at the beginning. Nip it in the bud, as they say.
Broken window theory.
So if you leave the thing to get out of hand, it can be very difficult. But wherever you have a problem, just tackle it. You see insecurity somewhere, raise it, report it to the right authorities, do something about it. Because if you don't, and it gets out of hand, we have seen with our insecurity in this country. The role of research, social work research and social science research. If you are looking for evidence-based policy, then you have to produce the evidence, the empirical data. Who is going to produce that empirical evidence? I'm glad to see that a lot of people in the Faculty of Social Sciences are here, beginning with my Vice Chancellor. He's my Vice Chancellor because he's also our colleague from the University of Abuja. So I have my boss here, who's from Social Sciences, Professor Lad. There is me, there is Zoka, there is him, the big man here. So there are a lot of people in the social sciences. Once again, is in Africa. If you go to Europe and the US, they have this is my last. Europe and the US, they have they employ a lot of people in social workers and social scientists in policy making, policy decision and decision making. Having said that, now another thing you need is monitoring and evaluation, follow-up. It's not you do something and you don't follow up. So we need also to engage in and give funding for monitoring and evaluation and follow-up. That is what our simple group was able to come up with. And as I said, if anybody needs more, Dr. Israel has the files and everything. So, for people who I think contribution here today, I take this opportunity to appreciate the Institute and the Director General and other members. I'm a chairman here for allowing me to participate in this program and contribute. And I'm highly impressed with the level of success, the quality of the organization and the presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the DG, I also want to thank Professor Ikube for her professionalism and for her commitment and for the work that she has done for this conference. Can we give her another? Finally, Professor Ladi. After Professor Ladi, that will signal.
I've allowed to all my senior colleagues have said something. They are all my mentors. I was their student. That's like I was. This was my tutelage. He was my tutelage. He taught me, and he supervised my PhD.
Wow.
So it's a mentor and a father. This person is a mother. I came in as a graduate assistant when she was the HOD of the department. So when I was to go for my master's, she advised me to go for this area. So I'm among my parents, so I cannot say more than what they say. A child cannot be greater than his father. So we presented about 9 papers in my group, and the comments, the observations we found out was that most of the papers were not clearly fine-tuned that can enable us bring out the recommendations. So what I did as the chairperson of the group, I said they should go and fine-tune the paper following the formats, and when they are done, they should send to my email with the abstracts. Some don't even have abstracts. I said they should include the abstracts, send to my email. I would go through the paper, rework on the paper, and send it back to them for final production. So in that case, it doesn't mean that we have not concluded yet. We still have a long way to go when they are done with the paper. Even though somebody has just sent it to me, I know he's just giving me responsibility and burden. Because honestly, today he has sent it back. So I know he's just giving me another. He hasn't gotten time to go through the paper. He's just sending another workload for me. But in all the 9 papers presented, we compressed it and we came up with 4 or 5 or 6, I think, sub things that we think are more relevant or are relevant to the presentations. The paper all is on criminology, the proof is on criminology and security studies. We've looked at youth restiveness and insecurity. And the other one we've looked at the paper on security challenges in the communities and the country at large. And we've also looked at youth empowerment. We've also looked at the role of the judiciary in the dispensation of justice and the implication. So much. This button. Fine, I'm not going to take much of your time. It's just a summary of what we did. And I think my group is on criminology and security studies. And I have like 8 or 9 papers presented, I think 9, including my 10. I don't want to take much of your time. Thank you very much, my senior colleagues in the department and in the institute. My other senior colleague in the university once said, even in the beer parlor, there is seniority. Yes. We've also looked at the financial crimes and money laundering through the role of the EFCC. We've also looked at correctional services, the role of the correctional services in inmate development. We've also looked at the social and anonymous theory of Robert C. Martin and see how the context of that theory is related to Nigerian realities. We've discussed on that. And lastly, on the paper, we've looked at ethnic receptivism and the new normal in Nigerian politics. Yes, that was the last paper presented, making a total of about 8 to 9 papers. So far, since I told you that we are yet to work the final copy of the paper, I told the students after the correction. So I'm just giving you the clue of the papers presented. So at the end of this whole, we came up with one collective decision in the group. We said there is the need for nationalization of all Nigerians. Is that clear? When we presented the final paper, on ethnic receptivism and the new normal in Nigerian politics, we concluded that there should be nationalization of all Nigerians. Thank you so much.
Let me thank Professor Lati who actually said that the engagement you are having with the presenters was actually his personal stroke official. But what we still want is that if we can have one or two comments and recommendations, if we have, we can add it. But it's very good that you're having that engagement so that they have done and to restate the expectations that we have. Please, these papers, you correct them because they will go into conference proceedings. I'm sure this will go in volumes. Maybe volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. So they will go. There will be no rigorous checks. But after you do that, those that want it to go into the journal will also have to work it well. Because like I keep repeating, there's going to be blind peer review. So once again, thank you very much. Can I take it now that our communique has been approved?
Yes, sir.
Has been approved?
Yes, sir.
Who is moving the motion for the approval? Yes, sir.
There's a prime minister. John of me, president for candidate. Yeah, by mood. And the communique that have been read to us, our hearing, have all heard and accepted it in good confidence. Move for
Very much. Yes, ma'am. There is a consensus that you should
Any for objection to the motion move for the adoption of this community. I, Ian Mother, will second the motion move for the adoption of the.
Thank you very much, Mr. John, who will read out the certificate for those who are around, and then I will invite the DG himself. I think no other person can give you the certificate other than the DG. So it is also my singular honor and privilege to invite the DG and then invite John, who will read and cough. Those who are around will now come and have a handshake with the DG and collect their
Don't worry, when we want to share it, we'll do that better. Yeah, I want to share it in my husband. And I'm sure that here we'll learn the skills of teamwork, perseverance, and of course cooperation, isn't it? So we'll do all this. Mr. Chairman, sir, and my colleagues on IT, participants, and our students, on behalf of the president of it is my honor to first and foremost express my joy to the participants because without the congregation, there won't be a church now. Without congregation, there won't be boss. Without market men and women, there won't be market. That's right. So without you, there won't have this conference. So I want to appreciate your cooperation, your participation, your encouragement, of course, your zeal to learn. I think that is the greatest impetus we had. I'm sure what is keeping them afloat now is because of your resilience to learn. So let me appreciate all of you for making these contributions. It may look as if it's a child's play you are playing, all right? You will not know where your friend is going. You don't know where your friend is going. With somebody, there's a lady here that learned, she did a master's here. Anissa. Those of you who know Anissa. Today, Anissa and her family, they're all in the US now. The courtesy of what? These kind of presentations. You don't know where this paper is going. That's why I'm glad that the chairman insisted that correcting should be done. With the pains they took to ensure that we do the correct thing, we stand to achieve two things. One is the fact that we're making our contribution to nation building. But everything we're doing is for the love of Nigeria. Number two, you are empowering yourself. They say knowledge is power. You know so? Yeah, if you don't have the knowledge, you don't have power. Teachers will always tell you that if you think that education is very expensive, try ignorance. Yeah, because look at we were here since yesterday. They push you here and there. You the luxury of your homes, you are taking out of that, the risks and everything, you decide to abandon that, sacrifice that, come and like share knowledge. For me, that is the greatest sacrifice we're doing to this country. Others are there planning evil, how to destroy the nation, how to do this, how to do this, but you are planning how to improve the nation. I think that's how good citizens should be. You are busy cracking your brain, all right? Taking yourself out of the comfort of your homes, your families, and so on. Because we are saying Nigeria needs to be united. Nigeria needs to move forward. All these papers you are giving, these are your content. As the chair will insist that we will go through all of this. The idea of coming up with a book of proceedings was apparently to ensure that every paper is published in one way or the other. The journal aspect is more technical one, has to go through a process of peer review and so on. But the book of proceedings starts from the opening ceremony to the closing ceremony, so that at least you have it or keep. When your children will say, Dad, you presented this one, yes, I did. So if you are presenting trash, they will read it. If you are presenting good things, they will read it. You know, books don't lie, isn't it? So that's why I want to ensure that me and you will do the correct thing, so that they don't say, but is it you that did this one? That you could have done like this now, so on and so forth. So thank you on your page and everything sacrificed to be here. I pray that God Almighty will reward all of you. The journey that you have started, be determined that you finish up. You finish up. That's one. Number two, the journey that with the vision we have for our country, Nigeria, we determine that Nigeria will be better. Shall be better. To my colleagues, the chairman, very humble person, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Very humble. We call him comrade.
Yes.
Comrade professor. And in fact, he has infected everybody with this kind of coverage. Because you see, I'm dressing like him too now. So, comrade, thank you very much for the pay to share this occasion. It is, in fact, sometimes he comes to the office before me. I'll travel all the way from Kebbi here. I'm here. So that's commitment. We want to teach by example. I'm glad that the kind of people that are out there, they are humble leaders. Humble leaders. Prof, I don't call him on the night of the first day, 2 days ago. Yes, the night. I told him, this conference is starting tomorrow. He said, He said, I'm always pick up. For me, I get attracted to people who are committed to what they do. Yeah, because you start to learn a lot from them. So I must say that I've learned a lot from all of them because they are committed people. When you're a friend to a committed person, you'll be committed. Yes. That's the father, that's the whole principle. Yes. So I like to work with somebody who is committed, who push me to work. So for me, they are the brain behind the success of all of this. Yeah. I think that's the program that make the thing come well. Prof too, in fact, she left in the evening. She has a conference in HPC around just there. She had to rush and finish by 2 and then be on the way to this place. For very grateful. And they gave us books free of charge. So what is this? The secretariat, the staff, non-academic staff, and everybody that work day in, day out, you've done very well. The committee, thank you so much, Dr. Batan and the rest. You know, Joshua, Dr. John, thank you very much. The committee, LOC, you work very well. My president, sir, SPSC, and that was my president, Society for Peace Practice, Studies and Practice. And That's I belong to the umbrella body in Nigeria. You can see they have been here all through. They abandoned every open activities. Mind you, we have this kind of conference, as you said yesterday, in Kaduna, Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna. July?
Yes.
July.
Arrival is 1st of July.
So please start preparing papers too to go and present. You know that every year SPSP used to come here to induct us.
Yes.
And so some of you had that privilege.
Yes.
It's the best training you can have in mediation, in conflict mapping, and so on and so forth. Isn't it? ADR. You know, remember?
Yes.
So we're still planning to see most of you be chartered mediators, or chartered arbitrators, and so on. So that's what we want. Because apart from graduating with your PhD or master's, we want to have some professional certificate to go with it. All right, as that's the JARA. We're paying for professions as well, so that as you go out, you begin to make your influence in society. Because it's not most of you here at the back of the time. Some of you are retired. My friend here, you're retired now, isn't it? My friend with 3 PhDs. Adding the fourth one now. So he's retiring now, but you can see people. Somebody with about how many PhDs out of this country came here. He said, I want to learn. I said that should give us, that's encourage, isn't it? Yeah. There's nothing so beautiful like learning. If I die, I want to come back like a teacher. But teachers are always learning. All right? I derive joy in this kind of thing. So please let us take advantage of the learning opportunities you have to learn. One, if you are a parent, you are setting an example for your children. They will tell you that even my daddy at this age got this, what me I'll do more. So you are setting high space for them. Yeah. So I thank you immensely for taking the time to come, even at this age. No age is too high for learning or too small for learning. Every age will continue to learn until we rest in peace, not in pieces. May God help us. Finally, some of you didn't get the materials, or some of the materials are out now. We'll take it by tomorrow, we'll publish everything for you. And then your certificates, work. So I think we'll do it for the that is very, very important for us. We'll come here tomorrow, but maybe it's not you again, but the less busy can come. We'll reach out the committee officially tomorrow to the press, to the world, to tell the world that this is what we have agreed. Let it not be that you say it is their document. No, it's our document because you adopted it. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Because one of the criticisms of Nigerian constitution is the fact that they say we Nigeria, we the people of Nigeria, we the people. So I think we can confidently say that we the people, we the participants here, adopted this. Is that so? So that means we'll come and read it on your behalf, so that we don't need to keep you more than necessary. Our latest industry, okay, let's go back there. But let's do this right. All right. So again, you have only 2 weeks, please. Make every decision for it.
How many copies?
I mean,
How many copies?
copies. Now, just go and give it to your leader. Now I don't go get it from us, but I think according to your panel leader, you know what okay. And let's think this fruits. Because there's a lot of processes the editorial board, thank God the chairman of the editorial board. I think there are about how many members?
15.
15 members.
15.
Some of them are outside. So you can see we have a lot of work. So by that in 2 weeks, that will able to start work on processing that. All right. So just as make sure that we have a group picture so that we can see your beautiful places.
We had one yesterday, so I think we should have another one at this time.
All right. Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. That we should have a group picture. Accepted? Yes.
That should be outside.
Got it. All right. Finally, who gave one student now to respond. We have order, right? For the records. I don't know whether you have the school governor yet. You know that? All right. So who will have all of us? Let me give you the last night up. June, you are from Plateau City, right?
We want to express our deep gratitude to the organizers of this conference and to the various coordinating persons we have here, our fathers, our professors. So the former VC, when I was in SPSKP, you told me, and when you were telling me that you are the one that told us where during I was so happy, and I'm so happy to see you here today again. So, thank you so much. I feel it actually I have to remember from that time. So, we are very, very grateful, sir. And also, I can mention your names one by one, but all of you that you are part of. When Professor Atu called me and told me about this, carry that in things. We have to say something. So, we are very grateful, sir. And I'm sure that you are happy because as younger ones, seeing us coming up, sure, you will be happy that we will take after you and want to assure you that sir, we will not disappoint you. We are very grateful and thank you so much, sir, the DG, we are very grateful. Thank you so much for everything. See you organization.
Yeah,